And so let me slow this down a little bit more because you don't want to miss this. These are the keys to everything. Big, powerful beams moving through, just going from long wave to gamma, a general trip across the known region. As they're speeding through, somebody has set up a prism. This could be seen as very advanced technology or something very primitive, depending on how you look at it. But the fact of this prism containing water, now remember, the body contains water. It contains the exact amount of water that the earth does. But because this beam is passing through, but it hits this water and the water slows it down. And it's like a smear and it looks like a rainbow because the colors that you're coming or the energies that you're coming from, this is what happens when you slow them down. So they into this beam or stream of faded colors, which you call a rainbow. But if you visualize it, it's actually becoming physicality. So all of the grasshoppers and trees and all these different things are the beams that have passed through. And then now, because I peeped out that, this whole thing is more of like an urn. It's more of a womb itself. Of course, it's really the mother that is putting all of these beams or seeds of light in her bosom and then actually animating them, slowing them down, and then animating them and cultivating them. You see what I mean? So that's why you would look at it and you would see what you're seeing like it's still like, oh, that's what you're looking at when you see in the sky. But then the light continues and it's refracted and then it's congealed and then boom, you get the entity. OK, so when you ever want to reverse engineer that, you can see if you saw large celestial bodies, you would know, man, there must be some powerful energies present. All I would need to do is find them in nature. OK, and then it more would be like, so what's your story? Man, I was just passing through. Me too. You see what I mean? And they would go on from there. So let's continue. So now we got to go deeper, though, because there is so much mysticism shrouded around this, because it's really about you. And the beings that really came on the Mount of Hermon is actually all of what you see in humanity coming together in agreement to actually create the physical bodies. This story gets completely hijacked, and now it becomes just about the builders. OK, and I'm going to explain to you how this happened, meaning that obviously, especially within the theories of the megaliths, like the pyramids and these big temples and these big structures, there becomes this knowledge passing forth that, and these ancients that came through, they were builders. And this is which is operative Freemasonry. We have to be very specific. Operative Freemasonry means that you actually know how to build something physical. You're operative. You're not speculative. Speculative is more like philosophy. You're going to like take the tools and the symbols and the geometry around how to build something, and then you're going to speculate how that connects into the same way that the body functions, right? Versus when you're operative, it means that you actually build, and there's a big difference between the two. And also, it will let you know when you see certain objects or certain structures built on any reality that you end up on, you already know the builders were there. And if that has happened, a certain level of knowledge is present because the knowledge is encoded inside of the building. OK, so we find then, just for some simple connections here, we find then that the Freemasons take on this term, old Freemasons, operative Freemasons take on this term as being the builders. And I'm explaining very quickly why that is important and why they became important. So in this operative Freemasonry, which refers to a period where Masonic lodges were actual guilds of stonemasons, they had several foundations of influence and power that allowed it to spread and maintain its presence across the globe. One, skilled craftsmanship. Even to this day, not everybody can build a house, period. Let them build a house and then let the elements of nature act upon it. And we will see right away that you can't pretend that you know how to build. It's a skill, right? If you put everything together and then you forget to do the plumbing first, we got to start over again. So it's a passed down skill. OK, so there was already that energy of the knowledge of how to pass down skills to children and things that are to your children and to know how to do things that other people don't know how to do. They had a monopoly on construction. In many cases, Masonic guilds had a monopoly on the construction of major buildings. This monopoly was often granted by local authorities or patrons, which gave the guild significant economic and political power. They had a freedom of movement. This was the whole thing that ends up translating later on to the traveling man in modern Freemasonry, which is that you could go different places and be welcomed by other Freemasons, have a place to sleep and this kind of stuff, because it comes from the root of, unlike many other professions of the time, stonemasons were often able to travel freely between different regions and countries to work on various projects. This freedom of movement allowed the Masonic guilds to spread their influence and establish lodges in different areas. Also, the secrecy and exclusivity. Masonic guilds, operative Masonic guilds, were known for their secrecy and exclusivity, with members being bound by oaths and rituals. This sense of mystery of the brotherhood helped to create a strong sense of loyalty and cohesion among the members, right? Bullshit. It's because they were holding secrets from how to build these ancient structures, because that's what a builder is. You've learned the original artifact. They say the original artificer, Tubal Cain's knowledge. You've learned about the square and the compass. And these symbols also have deeper meaning. So it's this patronage and protection. So they have this, because these Masonic guilds, as it reads here, were powerful individuals and had institutions, they also had the Catholic Church and the nobility, because the Catholic Church needed these cathedrals built, right? And they also had this transmission of knowledge because they had this architectural engineering knowledge. And then it's also this ability to encode all the secrets into the architecture. Okay, I want to read one more thing here. And this is of the square and the compass, real quick here. One second, let me just pull up it's just one more thing. Okay, yes, here. Okay, just the square and the compass. We're gonna get into this a little bit deeper here in a moment, but you got to understand what actually happens when you know how to use a real square and a compass. One, you have precision and accuracy. Okay, and precision and accuracy for somebody who's trying to build something, you'll know that the value of something actually starts becoming based on how precise you can create it. Because also precision means you can do it again because it's under some type of formula that you can always replicate. It's the future plan and design. When you know how to operate a square and a compass, you also know how to put something together or it's actually created, like physically. So it embeds within you the ability to basically be able to visualize or even draw or put something together, even a master plan, way before you would actually deploy it into physicality. It also gives you the ability to have balance and perspective because you learn where the equilibrium point is. And you also realize that all of even how you're seeing buildings, like how a building can appear even small at a certain part of the horizon, that everything is about perspective. So this is a craft that technically trains the mind without a person actually even knowing how much it's affecting their mind. I'm talking about stone masonry. I'm not talking about speculative Freemasonry. And then finally, you know about exploring and discovering because you have such precision and accuracy with this compass and these measurements. You can actually track yourself from the origin point of where you're at to wherever you go. They call this reverse azimuth. And because of that, that means you actually can go out and explore and discover without getting lost. Like people would, if you didn't have any way of kind of even knowing how to get back to where you came from, why would you even feel comfortable with traveling? So these are the representations of that awareness of if I can go out and I can discover new things, because new things are discovered all the time. We don't know everything. We act like we do. But imagine someone who's trained to know how to go and explore and discover something new. And then finally, the use of natural resources. This is what I was explaining earlier about how few even plant the seeds that they spit out of their mouths when they're eating something. That's a natural resource right there. We can harvest that, grow it, and eat more of it. Also, but in this with the square and compass, you learn how to use nature, mountains, streams, the sky, the wind. You learn how to use all of the things in nature in order to guide your path. Okay. So that's just, again, laying down just a layer of what one of the symbols actually truly means in the ancient society and how that would shape and structure your mind. But what is it that you're holding? And this is what I'm getting to here is that, remember, this still connects to this original building, which was the body and its template or its temple and the secrets within the body. Okay. And then next, creating a physical one to create a physical version, because constantly if you did any kind of, it was to build like the creator built. And there were things that, you know, when observing nature, you would say, wow, look at this creation. And you would try to figure out what makes this structure so strong or what allows it to endure so much. And so things were gleaned from nature, mainly what later on became math, which I said is ma'at, was gleaned from nature. And then these maxims were placed in everything for a specific reason. Because something was discovered.